This is the Aptitude Outdoors podcast, where we interview conservationists, hunters, anglers, and outdoorsmen and women to bring you the greatest stories, information, and advice from the best in the world.
All right, everybody, welcome back to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. Thanks for tuning back in. Today I'm talking about something that we all deal with, and I'm not immune to this, nor is anyone else, and it's dealing with trying new stuff. I've been going through a lot of new stuff over the course of this year. It's already November. Can't believe this year is shooting ahead that quickly. It's almost over. So what a wild ride it's been. I've tried so much new stuff this year. Right now I'm finishing up the finishing touches of going through the whole Ranch Fairy arrow test kit, and I got arrows that I ordered. I'm getting those lined up so I can hopefully go hunt here in the next couple of days. I did a bunch of new fly fishing stuff that was really uncomfortable for me this year, and that's just all part of growth, and it's a pain in the ass. And I'm going to talk about what that means and why you shouldn't be too scared of it, because it's really something that we've been dealing with since, well, the beginning of time. And one of the things that was the toughest for me is the arrow stuff. The fishing stuff's whatever. You just buy a fly rod and cast it and figure it out. It's not that intimidating, but the bow is like a very complex machine. So the thought of going through this whole process of getting these new arrow setups, heavier arrows, having to figure it out, I don't know anything about this stuff. So it was super intimidating, and it wasn't as bad as I thought it would be, but it's still very much a process, and it takes patience, and it's a lot of shooting arrows. It's expensive, so it's like you have this fear of, did I make the right choice? Is this something that I screwed up and I wasted all this money? That's something that I've been dealing with that, and I don't think it is a waste of money or time. It's just a new thing to explore, a new avenue to explore, and that's what has made it really intimidating. And, you know, things are going to go wrong. I just bought these arrows. I've shot them probably 5 days, and I've got broadheads for it, screwed them on, went to test shoot them, and on my last shot, I hit the other arrow, shaved 2 of the vanes right off, and of course, they have 4 vanes on the arrows, so you can't just go to your buddy that has a jig at home and replace them. You have to have a special jig that's set up for 4 vanes, which nobody I know has. The vanes themselves, you can't just buy 2. You have to buy 25. So it's like, in order to fix 1 arrow now, I have to spend likely $150 to $200 just for the jig. And it's like, what a stupid mistake. What a dumb move. And that's just part of learning new stuff. And one way to look at it is, it was stupid, I messed up. Another way to look at it is, I now will have to understand how to fix an arrow and wrap an arrow and use an arrow jig and line up the vanes. Not something I necessarily wanted to learn, but now I'm going to figure it out, because that's just part of the process. So growth comes from that uncomfortable stuff, screwing up, spending money you don't want to spend, and learning. And it's just how it is. And, you know, fear is rooted deep in a lot of stuff. There's psychological reasons, there's evolutionary reasons for fear. I mean, historically, we were living out in the elements. We didn't have a healthcare system. We didn't have all this stuff to fall back on, even though healthcare can be scary, because if you get hurt or something, it still costs a shitload of money, even with an health insurance. That's a whole nother thing. Fear was built in to keep you from doing stupid stuff. I mean, you break your leg back then, you're going to die. So fear aversion and risk aversion is part of our system, but now we can do things like that a lot more safely, but we still have that inherent risk aversion built into our genes. Like, we don't want to do stuff that feels uncomfortable, and you just have to mentally break through it and do it sometimes. It's really uncomfortable, but it's just part of growth. If you want to stay stagnant, then you just don't try new stuff. But if you want to grow and get better and be better at what you're doing, you just have to be uncomfortable. There's no way around it.
Wake up early, the sun comes up. Then you drink a little coffee. Fire the gator tail up. Then you hit it on out where no man goes.
Our brains are wired to stick to what we already know. It's easier to just stick with the same minutia of the day than do something that makes you uncomfortable, like quit your job to go off on your own, or to quit your job to through hike the Appalachian Trail, or to stop listening to all your friends who make fun of you for wanting to fly fish, and you do it anyway. It's uncomfortable to do that stuff, but that's how you learn. That's how you break out of your comfort zone. Like last year, I tried duck hunting. I tried upland hunting. Terrible at all of them. Still terrible at all of them. I'm not even that great at regular hunting with a gun, let alone. So it's like you have to be willing to put yourself out there and do stuff that makes you feel like you don't know what you're doing. It's super uncomfortable. Your brain doesn't want that. Your brain wants to stay comfortable. It wants to stay in your climate conditioned home, stay nice and warm, watch the TV. You don't have to think. You're not going to get any better doing that. There's just no way around it. There's no shortcut. There's no easy button. It's going to suck. You're not going to get stronger if you don't lift weights and are sore. It's just the fact of the matter. That's how it is. Trying these new things, though, when you get to the other side of that fear, it helps you become more resilient, less fearful. You've already had these experiences where you've jumped off the ledge and you've landed in the water safely, metaphorically speaking. You've had these experiences and nothing catastrophic happened. You might have got a little hurt. You might have got a little sore. You might have had your pride hurt a little bit. But after that, you become a stronger person because you know that generally you're going to be fine. And life's going to always throw unforeseen shit at you. It happens every day. It comes in big waves. We've all been through these phases where it's like up and down, everything's going great. And then something happens and life is completely thrown into shambles. And you're like, what do I do? Comes in waves. It goes away. Just learning to be resilient and push through. Whether it's hunting, whether it's fishing, you're going to lose a big fish. I lost a 10-pound bass that everyone around me said it was probably a 10-pound fish, snapped the line when I was fishing last year. Would I have loved to have had a 10-pound fish in my hands? Absolutely. Did I? No. Learn to be more careful when I'm reeling the fish in and not just horse the thing out of the water like everyone told me not to do. I had to learn that the hard way. Probably will happen again. I missed a shot on a deer last year. Straight up missed first time. Soul crushing. But that's part of it. Got to learn to practice more, to be better, to be more confident in my aim. Stick it through, practice more. It's just part of life. You're always going to have these screw ups. Nothing's ever going to go the way you want it to go. You know that. You know that every day. Nothing ever goes how you want it to go. I have a list of things I want to get done every day, and I usually get about 3/4 to half of them done if I'm lucky, because people call, you get emails, something comes up, you have to run out of the house. It's just how things work. You just prepare yourself for that by doing hard stuff, going to the gym, trying new arrow setups, whatever it is for you, whatever that thing is for you that you're scared of. Reading more. Reading's a pain in the ass. I read so many books that I don't want to read, but I want to get better too. It's just part of the process. You have to just suck it up, and it becomes easier over time. Now I can read a 500-page book. It doesn't intimidate me at all because I've just read so much that it's like, well, it's just another book. It'll take me 2-3 weeks to finish it. It is what it is. Just go through the process. Another really good advantage is trying new stuff is it opens you up to new perspectives. Trying a saddle last year with hunting opened me up to a completely new perspective on a way of hunting. I hated tree stands. I preferred to hunt on the ground until last year, and someone was talking about saddle hunting. I looked it up, built my own saddle, have a whole nother podcast on that. And I learned that I really liked it. It was more comfortable. It was more portable. It's just way better of a setup for me. And I would have never known that if I wouldn't have tried it. Cost me a little bit of money, cost me a little bit of figuring things out, but it opened up this whole new perspective on hunting where I could be light, move fast, set up anywhere I wanted quickly. That's awesome. Is it quicker than just sitting on the ground? No, but it's stealthier. So it opens you up to new perspectives, just like reading a book on hunting will open you up to a new perspective on deer that you didn't know before. Maybe it'll open you up to a new way of hunting them that you never thought of, or being able to track them more effectively, or looking for signs in plain sight that you wouldn't have normally seen. New perspectives are a great way, and the only way to find those is to do stuff that you normally wouldn't do, which then again makes you super uncomfortable and fearful. See where I'm going with this? It's just a never-ending cycle. Like with fly fishing, it opened me up to a whole new methodology of fishing that I never would have thought about. And for me, it's been a huge blessing. I'm able to fish more because it's more portable. I keep it with me. These rods I have behind me on the wall back here are big, large, cumbersome, a pain in the ass to take apart and put back together and restring. And fly fishing is very easy for me to get out and do. I keep it with me, and I always am ready to go out and fish. Allowed me to fish more. And I was hesitant of it for so many years. It was such a dumb thing. And I finally just got over it, tried it, and here we are. That can happen with a lot of things. You might decide that you hate it. You might be like, this is the dumbest thing I've ever done. But you also wouldn't have known that if you never tried it. So there's a lot of ways to look at this, but those new perspectives will really help you out. And sometimes they unexpectedly make your life a lot better. Another thing that people talk about all the time is failing. I know so many people who are afraid of failing. They're afraid of looking stupid. And that's just going to happen. Like, even if you try not to fail, you're going to fail. Even if you think that people are going to make fun of you or whatever, they're going to do that anyways. If they're going to do it, they're going to make fun of you. They're either going to make fun of you because you never do anything and you're afraid to try new things, or they're going to make fun of you because you're always doing new things and screwing up and failing and looking like a jackass because you're brand new at something. They're always going to be there. Those people usually suck anyway, so it's not really any loss to you. When I started bow hunting, it was very intimidating. I only knew like one guy. He showed me how to shoot, and it was embarrassing as hell. I missed the target. I've probably spent $200 in arrows just missing. I'm so bad at it. It was just like, it's so embarrassing. Now it's like 6-7 years in, I'm finally shooting accurately to where I want, trying new things with new arrows after just that grinding out of all that time, shooting. Pain in the ass, but it just, you're gonna fail. You're gonna screw up. You're gonna miss deer. You're gonna miss fish. You're gonna look like a dumbass casting a fly rod for the first time. It's just part of the gig, man. Like, you can't overcome that. You're gonna have to just put in the hours. And most people really don't care. Most people don't fly fish, so most people aren't even gonna know that what you're doing is wrong. They have no concept of it. It's about hunting too. Like, nobody knows what shooting a bow is like. How many people do you know own bows? Like, a couple, like your uncle and like a couple of friends that hunt. None of these people know what the hell's going on. It doesn't matter. They're not your audience. You're your audience. You do your thing. You're gonna fail. Like, it's just gonna happen. I've, done so many things. I've been in 3 bands before I got one that got signed to a record label. It's just like, that's how things work. You thought that was your big ticket out of town. You realize that maybe it wasn't what you were meant to do. You do that, you keep going, you find new stuff, try new things, and eventually you're building the skill all the while, and then it all comes together in some magical moment that's completely out of your control. That's how this stuff works. I don't make the rules, I just live by them.
Hey, what's up everyone? James Appleton here, co-founder of Absolute Aid. Welcome to the Seek to Do More program. This program will help you help yourself by developing the daily habits that will elevate your entire life. Over the next 30 days, you'll complete the doers list every single day. And the doers list includes 1, do something physical. 2, follow and stick to your diet of choice. 3, read a real book. 4, further your education on purpose. 5, dedicate time to your spiritual life. And 6, dedicate time to your hobbies. So if you're ready to take a structured, proven approach to build the daily habits that will allow you to get the most out of yourself, your time, and your life every single day, the Seek to Do More program is your blueprint. So make a choice, commit to yourself, sign up below, and let's get started.
With this stuff too, it's all building blocks. Everything is a building block to getting better. And it's like the perspective that most people can understand is strength. If people do exercise, they usually are either in the running camp or the lifting camp. And so I have perspectives on both of these because apparently I'm a psychopath. I've run, long distance races, long distance backpacking. I've also do strength training, and it all lines up at the end of the day. It's the same thing. When I started trying to do strength training almost 4 years ago now, I couldn't squat below parallel. I could barely squat 225. My big goal was 300 pounds. That was like the pinnacle for me. And it took me almost 2.5, 3 years to get to that. And that was showing up daily, sticking to a routine, changing the way I ate, and just going for that. It took a really long time. But now 300 pounds is like, I can go right now to the gym and do like 10 minutes of warm up and squat 300 pounds. This is not an issue. But that was a building block. That took years and years. It's just like shooting a bow. The first time I shot a bow, missed the target, way left, way right. My buddy helped me dial it down until I could get within, a foot circle. And then over that time, you just keep shooting and refining. And now I have a target outside that has 6 little, 2-inch squares on it, and I can hit them every time. Like, it's just a number of reps, daily repetition. It's going to build, and it feels like forever. Every time you go out there, it feels like shit. You're just like, I am not getting anywhere. This sucks. You just have to be stubborn enough to sit there and just keep practicing even when you don't want to. 9 times out of 10, I do not want to go to the gym and strength train because it sucks and I'm sore and my body hurts. But I show up, I don't think about it. I get in the car, I drive there, I look at the routine, and I do it. I don't think about it. I just do it, and I get stronger. I talked to a kid yesterday. He's like, I look up to all these guys at the gym. They have all this motivation. Me and another guy are literally like, we do not have motivation. We have discipline. That's what we have. We have the discipline to keep coming when we don't want to. If it was easy, we wouldn't need any discipline. Motivation is a buzzword. Motivation doesn't get you anywhere. Motivation fades very quickly. Discipline's where it's at, my dudes. Discipline is how you keep going when you don't want to. It's just, you shut up, you show up, you keep going. And that applies across the board. Hunting, fishing. There are many days this summer. I absolutely love fishing. There were a few times where I was like, I really do not want to go fishing right now. I'm burnt out. But then I got out there, I knew I'd fall into the rhythm of fishing. It would calm me down. I'd love it. Went out there, caught a ton of fish this year just because I knew that it was something I loved. And there were times even stuff you love sucks sometimes, and you just go out and do it. It's the only way to get it done. And one of the harder things that is in relation to that last point is you need to have a plan for the future. You can't just wing it all the time. Even though sometimes even when you have a plan, it feels like you're winging it. You have to have this plan of what you want it to be. Like this podcast I've been doing this for almost 4 years now. I have a plan of what I want this to be in 5 years. I've been working on wanting to shoot a wildlife and conservation documentary for almost 6 years to a decade, just depending on how far back you want to go. And when I started thinking about this stuff, started with a GoPro. I would film my backpacking trips. And then it started with a DSLR. I bought a little crop sensor DSLR for a few $100s. Beat that thing into the ground, filmed, got it wet, took it in the rain, took it in the water. Surprised it still worked when I sold it. Put in a ton of hours on that thing. I only had like the little kit lens and some like 300 millimeter lens, which I thought was huge at the time. And then I kind of took that camera to its limits with what I was trying to shoot. I upgraded to a full frame camera with that shot in, 1080p HD, 60 frames a second. So I could start doing slow motion stuff and working on my cinematography. I ordered a 600 millimeter lens, which is like a big wildlife lens. Beat that thing into the ground. I still have it. I still love it. Got really decent at wildlife photography before I started doing the video to just build this foundation of the basics, understand wildlife. Then I upgraded to another new camera with the full frame mirrorless camera, much more higher quality video, shooting in 4K, do all this upgrades, and now I shot my first wildlife conservation documentary, and those building blocks took forever, and it seems like to people on the outside that it just came out of nowhere. I have videos from years and years and years ago on this YouTube channel that aren't even visible anymore I started with. Like, they were just really bad. But it's like the basics of editing, the basics of sound, the basics of framing, all this stuff was building over time. And then people are like, how did you get so good at this? Like, all this stuff takes a really long time. And that's something that you just have to, if you can realize that, everything becomes a lot more simple because you don't expect a result tomorrow. This hunting season might blow for me. This hunting season, I might only get to hunt a handful of times because I've just been so busy. And that's just one season. I have 10 years, 15 years, 30 years down the road, I'm thinking about hunting, not just this one season. There are times in your life where you're busy. There's times where you're not. It's just how it works. So got to keep that in mind. You got to have this vision of what you want stuff to be down the road. When you put all that together, things become less scary. They might be scary in the moment, but then you step back and you think, okay, this is one road bump in a thing that I want to do 5 years from now. It's going to be fine. It's going to cost me $1,000. I screwed up. It is what it is. But it's a lesson I learned. It's a lesson I learned in how to do this more efficiently, better, whatever it is. So keep that in mind. I hope that helps you guys. It's something that I think about a lot. I have to remind myself of a lot. It's not an easy thing because everything you do in freaking life is terrifying half the time, it seems like. So just make a plan, stick it out, and don't think about tomorrow. Don't think about losing 5 pounds today. Think about losing 5 pounds every month for the next 2 years. You know, that's where success, that's where your goals come out. You know, don't think about shooting your bow today. Think about shooting your bow every day for the next 5 years and you'll be a friggin' master archer. It's just putting in the time, putting in the hours a little bit at a time. You're not going to get good all at once. So I hope this helps you guys out. I needed to remind myself of this today, so that's why I'm talking about it. I hope that that kind of solidifies some things for you and helps you accomplish your goals. And I will hopefully be back soon with another episode for you guys here soon at Aptitude Outdoors.
Hey, thanks for listening to the Aptitude Outdoors podcast. If you're getting anything out of this, if you're learning something, if it's helped you in any way, go down in the link below and buy me a coffee. Throw me $1, throw me $2. We greatly appreciate it. Just using it to keep this ship afloat. So thank you very much.